of the Field of 68 After Dark. Rob Dauster here. I got Jeff Goodman with me, and we are talking about some big coaching news in the Big East. None of it is really all that much of a surprise, Jeff, but we had some shakeups in the conference that a lot of people expected, although I don't know if everybody fully expected it to happen. I want to start. We have St. John's is hiring Rick Pitino. I believe they just made that official. And Ed Cooley is leaving Providence and heading to Georgetown. Which is the bigger one? What are you more surprised about here? Which do you think is the bigger piece of news in the Big East right now?
Well, I mean, listen, I think the bigger surprise is certainly Ed Cooley. Like, I think we all saw this coming with Rick Pitino a week ago to St. John's, and it made all the sense in the world. It actually made more sense in a way that Georgetown hires Rick Pitino, but they weren't. They weren't going that route at all. And I've talked to Cooley, in full disclosure, I've talked to Cooley about this Georgetown job for years. And you know, who was the first one to probably put out Georgetown and Cooley blank check? That was me. And one thing I'll say is there were several factors that played in here. One was Cooley's love of Georgetown, right? One was Cooley's thought process of can I keep this going at Providence? Georgetown has a higher ceiling. It's a better job. I've said this for years. Just because Patrick Ewing wasn't very good doesn't mean that Georgetown isn't a good job. It's a great job. They've got similar practice facilities. Georgetown's got an incredible recruiting base. And sometimes after 10 plus years, especially when you grew up in Providence, it's time for a change. Everywhere Ed Cooley went, he got mobbed in Providence. Now he can go, he's in a pro sports town. He can go out for dinner with his wife and nobody knows who the hell he is. Sometimes that's a good thing. Yep. So ultimately, I think this was something that made sense for Cooley in a lot of ways. But ultimately, I went back to the same thing, Rob, over and over and over. As Ed Cooley is signing his name, does he freak out at the very end and say, oh my God, I'm going to be hated in my own home city, maybe forever, certainly for a while. It's going to take a while. When he goes back to the dunk, and that's what I always call it, he is going to get booed especially by those students. Maybe not to the level Beard did when he went back to Texas Tech, but maybe not that far off from the students. I don't know how the
it's going to be. It's going to be up there. It's going to be just based off of the reception that I'm seeing on social media and the reaction that I'm seeing to this decision. I don't think that he's going to be very well liked. And look, I kind of go back and forth in this, right? I've made this point to you before. Georgetown is absolutely a better job than Providence. I think the rebuild at Georgetown is going to take a little bit longer than a lot of people realize. I don't think it's going to be I don't think the ceiling is quite as high as it was when Big John was there, mostly because I don't think you're going to be able to create the same home court environment in that arena, in that building, with what the demographics of the city of Washington, D.C. have become. It's just different now. That said, if there's going to be someone that can navigate the waters of the DC, like the murky waters of the DC recruiting base, it's Ed Cooley. Everybody likes Ed. It's very difficult not to like Ed unless, you're a Providence fan. And I do think that he's a good enough coach that he's going to be able to take these plays. Like there's very few people that can throw out as many different looks as he gives you and have as many different game plans as he provides. Like he's a very, very good X's and O's kind of game planning coach. So
here's the thing, Rob. In 5 years ago, it would have been tough. These days, with the portal, Ed can go in and flip this thing. He knows he doesn't have to start. It looks like it's from the bottom, but it's really not, because ultimately he's going to get some of the same type of transfers that he got at Providence at Georgetown, and he knows.
I've heard some of those names already. I'm sure you've heard some of the same names that I've heard that he might be targeting. And sure. I do think. Am I right in saying that he's going to have a nice little pot of NIL money to be able to use while he's there?
But he did it. He did at Providence. That was the misnomer. The misnomer was Providence had no NIL. They actually had competitive NIL. But Georgetown, again, the ceiling is higher for Georgetown. And Ed Cooley is obviously walking into it saying, hey, if you really want me, this is what I need. I need this for my staff. And I think he'll probably bring his staff with him. And I need this for NIL. And, again, you don't have to, like, if this had happened 5 or 10 years ago, I would have worried about, is Ed Cooley going to work hard enough to rebuild this thing from the bottom. Now, so much of what you do is through the portal that I don't think it's as much about that. It's more about what have you done and what do you have in NIL.
All right. So I'm going to play devil's advocate again. I think we've seen other coaches leave, air quotes here, home, right? It's not necessarily home, but they've left places where they were never going to get fired and they never had to worry about job security ever. Guys that come immediately to mind, Shaka Smart goes to Texas, was a 3 seed the year that he and Texas parted ways. I guess you could say amicably, but it was mostly like, hey man, look, you gotta
mutual.
Yeah, it was mutual.
Yes.
Chris Mack was the #1 team in the country in 2020, and 18 months later, him and Louisville are parting ways. And it's just like when you take that next step up, and you're going to a place that you no longer have that like familial loyalty to, that they can you're just, instead of having it be, you are Providence, right? You are now an employee at Georgetown. It changes the dynamic of that job. And at the end of the day, like when you get a check that's going to be as big as the one that Ed Cooley got, and
but
what
Providence was paying him well. Listen,
no, I get that, but what I'm saying is, like,
4.5. They were paying him 4.5. I think he'll probably make 5.5 at Georgia. That is a lot of money to leave on the table at the end of the day. But I don't think it was about money, Rob. I don't.
Hey, he probably would have made more given the cost of living in Providence versus the cost of living.
That too. No, you're right. But again, your lifestyle, you get older. Even for somebody like me, right? I want to get out of the colder winters. Georgetown, it's not that much warmer, but it is warmer. Like, it is nicer to live around. Georgetown is a beautiful, beautiful area.
Oh, I know. I used to live down there. I'm trying to I want to go back. I love it, man. It's it very much is like
Georgetown's a better job. It's a better job. I've been saying this for years. I'm
not arguing with you that it's a better job. I'm just saying, like, when you're at a job like Georgetown, it's much easier for them to. There's a different level of pressure, right? All you got to do at Providence is, he won a Big East regular season, he won a Big East tournament title, and they would have built him a statue if he stayed there forever. Now at Georgetown, if you go there and in 5 years, you're still this team that is just kind of like meandering along, finishing top 4 and top 5 in the league every couple of years, and making tournaments, and like you're on the hot seat there.
You know what Ed'll do then? He'll go and work in TV and kill it.
Yeah.
So, like, Ed's fine. Ed's fine. He's saying to himself at this point, I want a different challenge. I've done the Providence thing long enough. I'm not sure I can sustain this. Yes, he had equity built up. That's the one area that now, all right, you're going to have to grind it a little bit. Where at Providence, he didn't really go out on the recruiting trail at all last summer. Now, he was dealing with some health issues also, but he didn't really go out. He didn't really have to at Providence. He's going to have to work harder at Georgetown, obviously. But again, the expectations are so low right now. The bar is so low. Get to one tournament in the next 4 years, and you've done a hell of a job at Georgetown. He understands that. He also, the part we haven't talked about yet, being a black head coach, going to Georgetown, and what it means to Ed Cooley to follow in the footsteps of a big John Thompson. Mm-hmm. Let's not gloss over that and what it means to Ed Cooley.
Is that, how much of a role did that play in his decision?
Some. I'm sure he'll talk about it. Sure, it absolutely did. I just think he knows, like, Providence, you went to a Sweet 16. That was probably about as high as you could take it at Providence. Where at Georgetown, I think he feels like, hey, if I hit it at Georgetown, maybe I can get to a Final Four, win a national title.
Yeah, they were in a Final Four as recently as, I believe it was 2007 with John Thompson III. So, yeah, it's crazy. I honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. Part of me is still sitting here waiting for him to pull a Dana Altman, right? In 2 days, just kind of say like, hey, you know what? Hey, this isn't for me. I'm gonna head back to Providence. Part of me is sitting here waiting for that to happen, waiting for the other shoe to drop. But
I would say this, again, to me, I've said this multiple times. Nobody wants to be loved more than Ed Cooley. That's why I didn't think he'd leave ultimately. Now he's got to come to terms with being hated in his own city. That is not going to be easy for Ed Cooley.
Mm-hmm. Who are you going after if you are the Providence AD? Where's the replacement? I know you put out a tweet that said Micah Shrewsbury, probably not going to take it.
Right.
Kim English from Georgetown. Where do you stand?
Yeah, I think ultimately Micah Shrewsbury, if you've got Penn State for even money, let's call it, compared to Providence, you're not leaving. There's no reason to go. Providence is a middle tier job in the Big East, maybe not even, probably middle tier. Penn State, the way he's done it, he's built up equity. They've got NIL coming in at Penn State. They've got now this small ball style that is attractive to kids in the portal. So I think you'd stay at Penn State over going to Providence. He's also probably going to have Notre Dame on the table. That's going to be the decision I think Mike is going to have to make, is more Notre Dame or Penn State. He's from the Midwest, obviously. He knows the Midwest. He knows Indiana well. But does he want to go to Notre Dame, where, frankly, it's difficult to bring in transfers? That's the hard part. You bring anybody you want in at Penn State. Transfer-wise, at Notre Dame, there's some restrictions in place. You've also got to build that from kind of Penn State, you're losing everything too, but you've got momentum. At Notre Dame, there's no momentum right now.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I would say about pushback on, you said Providence is a middle tier in the Big East job. I think right now it's not. If you have something good going at a similar level, you're not going to take a lateral move to go there, because top 4 jobs in the Big East, tell me if I'm wrong here, in any order, I don't know which one, whatever you want to put them on. It's these are the top 4. It's Georgetown, Marquette, Villanova, UConn. Agree?
Georgetown, Marquette,
Villanova,
UConn, and Creighton and Xavier are clearly ahead of Providence.
Well, what I would say is then the next tier, you got Creighton and you got Xavier, who are arguably below Providence in terms of, for a myriad of different reasons. But right now they got Sean Miller and Greg McDermott.
No, they're not below in any shape.
All right, then they're above. Then they're above Providence, and you have guys that are established, very good coaches there. Job that might be below Providence, St. John's. You now have Rick Pitino there, which means that Providence right now, you're looking at stepping into a job that you're probably the 8th best team, 8th best program, the way things are currently situated.
Yeah. Yes.
In a league that gets 5 to 6 bids to the tournament, that is a tough spot.
And can you keep that building going? Because really, for the last 2 years, it's been one of the best home court advantages in the country, and Cooley has helped make it that. Can you keep that thing going? To me, I do think you need a dynamic coach, and Mike that's not really Micah. He's not dynamic. The other name you put out there that I tweeted was Kim English of George Mason. That on the surface of it looks like a big jump. Kimmy played at Notre Dame Prep in Massachusetts. He's from Baltimore. He won 20 games at George Mason. He's young. He played in the NBA for a cup of coffee. He's a very good networker. So I think
he's a good recruiter. Kimmy yes. Right now, based off of what he has done in 2 years as a head coach, it's probably a reach. But he's also the kind of guy that, in 2 to 3 years, you might not be able to get him at Providence if it goes the way that a lot of people expect it to go with him as a coach in his career. If he ends up getting
Micah, the connection with Micah is he was with the Celtics. Well, that's great and all. That's great and all, but ultimately Micah probably fits better at Penn State or Notre Dame than he does at Providence. You're not missing on Kimmy. You can get Kimmy, and you can get him for lower money also. So I don't know who else. We'll see who else kind of makes their way into the conversation.
You're telling me it's going to be Billy Donovan. Is that what you're saying right here? Goodman, right now on the field of 16 after dark.
Billy Donovan just signed an extension this past year. So the Texas and Billy Donovan rumors are garbage. He's not going anywhere. The timing, when he gets fired, and he will at some point, he's going to want to stay in the NBA. He does not want to deal with college unless he's got no choice. So if he's out a year,
if you can get an NBA paycheck, you're not going to want to go coach college,
right? He could, he'll get fired at some point in May or June, but he'll miss that cycle because Texas isn't going to wait for him. And trust me when I tell you, Billy Donovan isn't talking a jack shit right now about a college job. He's focused on NBA. I've never met anybody, period, in this industry who's more laser focused on whatever that task is at that time than Billy Donovan. The only thing he was dealing with here, and I'm told he was like, he didn't want to deal with it much, was he was kind of involved in the Providence, all this stuff with Cooley and Providence because it was his alma mater. So he wanted to help his alma mater here if they lose Cooley and to try to keep Cooley.
Mm-hmm. So who would you hire? You got to put you on the spot. We're doing the Jeff Goodman search firm. We are opening up the Jeff Goodman search firm. You have to tell Providence they have just hired you to fill their vacant head coaching position. Who are you hiring?
You know what? Honestly, I don't know because I didn't think this day would come. Even though again, I've got written down a bunch of jobs, coaches for different jobs that I thought might open up this year. I just still in my mind, even though I think I was the first one to speak it into existence of Georgetown and Ed Cooley, I never, ever thought he would actually do this, ever. Like, I just didn't. I thought he'd go all the way to the altar, and I told him this a week ago when I talked to him, and he no commented me. But I said, Ed, you're going to go to the altar, and then you're going to leave him at the altar. Well, he got married. He got married, man.
Are you still just wait? At what point will you fully believe it? Do you fully believe it now? Do you need to see the actual contract with his signature on it? Do you need to see him on the sidelines coaching? What do you need to see?
Yeah, I mean, I need to see him. I need to see his face in the press conference. I need to see him pumped up and not like this whole coaching search was weird, right? Like he's out there doing TV interviews. His house goes on the market today of all days, and I was texting him earlier, and he was trying to tell me this is just bad luck that they were going to sell the house anyway and downsize and move downtown Providence. And I listen, I love Ed Cooley. You love Ed Cooley. Everybody loves Ed Cooley. I just hope he's ready for the backlash. Like I'm going to be there next year, whatever that date is, when Ed Cooley goes back into the dunk. I don't care where I am, Charleston, wherever it is.
You love the drama so much, man. You love the drama.
The beard game might have been my favorite game I've ever been to, and it was more the buildup. Like I'm going to be there for the practice, the shoot around, the everything, because that was what made it special. Providence, it won't be quite the same because.
Do you think Providence fans are going to chase Ed Cooley on the bus out of the dunk?
They might flip the bus.
Yeah,
they might flip that thing.
They might. All right. St. John's hiring Rick Pitino. This one felt like it was done for a while. But again, Rick Pitino was one of the notorious flip-floppers, one of the notorious guys that you maybe don't want to take everything that he says as gospel, I guess, maybe. I don't know. I'll tell you what I think from a 35,000-foot view. This is the absolute perfect hire for the Johnnies. You get a guy that knows the Big East landscape. You get a guy that knows the New York landscape. You get a guy that wants to come in and is going to be able to impact winning right away, regardless of who's on the roster. And you got a guy that is going to be able to get this thing going in like 3, 4, 5 years, but he's not going to be there forever. Like this isn't your long-term, you got your coach for the next 20 years. He's 74 years old, 75 or something like that, 73.
You're aging him. I don't think he's that old.
We'll find out now.
I don't think he's that old. I think you're doing Rick a complete injustice here. He's 70 years old.
He was born in 1952. Yeah,
he's young. 70. He's 70. This dude's he just told me he's got 6 to 10 years left in him. Boeheim says it all. What did Boeheim go to? 75, 76?
Yeah, I mean, look, regardless, he's always in shape. His staff and his players are going to be in shape. Regardless, this is the guy that if you need to get a program jump started and rebooted, he's probably the perfect answer for St. John's to be able to do that. Whether he stays there for 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, he's the guy that's going to get this thing turned around.
I love it. I love it for the Big East too. Like what did we just do for the Big East, right? We just created storylines. Now, the only thing that could make this better, right? The only thing that could make this better right now. All right, and I'm going to say it. Let's do it. Providence, hire Richard Pitino.
I'll do you one better than that. You know who Providence should hire? Bobby Hurley.
Bobby Hurley would be great too. That'd be even better. That would be better. Put those two in there, like make them fight in the cage in like a cage match, and whoever wins, I take Bobby. No offense, Richard, but I take Bobby and gets that Providence job. But honestly,
what if it was Bobby and Danny fighting?
Man, yeah, that would be a hell of a matchup. I'm sure it's happened over and over.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure no one's coming out alive. They actually had to.
And
fight.
Bob never broke it up.
No,
just let them kill each other. All right, get back to it though. What does it mean? What does it mean for this St. John's program? It means that they're nationally relevant again. It means that they're going to get players, and like Mike Anderson got some good players. Wasn't like he didn't have talent. He had decent talent, but now
I'll tell you what. When I look at a roster that has Posh Alexander, that has Joel Soriano, that has who's the kid that came in from DePaul? Why am I blanking on his name?
David Jones.
Yeah. That has like Dylan Wasu. If you would have given Rick Pitino the team that they had this year, that's a top 25 basketball team.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a top 25 basketball team.
Like, and he's going to bring probably those guards with him from Iona. They were freaking good, and add a couple dudes up front. Like, I'm telling you right away. Like, I'm thinking, I don't even care who
he turned Russ Smith into a first-team All-American and a national champion. Imagine what he would do with Posh Alexander.
I'm thinking today.
Joel Soriano averaged a double-double. Like, honestly,
preseason top 25. I don't care what the roster is right now. I think I'm putting St. John's at 25 right now in my top 25.
Yeah, because the issue this year was not talent. The issue this year was not talent. And there's one thing that I do know that Rick Pitino will do is he's going to hold guys on that team more accountable, I think, than Mike Anderson did. And by the way, like, look, I've never understood why losses, like losing too much, is not a reason to fire a coach for cause. That's always weird to me. I've never understood it, but that's not the way that we do it. Pay Mike Anderson his money, St. John's. Don't be cheapskates. Come on.
Oh my
be
God.
Better than this. Pay him his money.
I can't believe they're doing this. They're firing him for cause, for basically saying for failure to create and support an environment that strongly encourages student athletes who are in the men's basketball program to meet all university academic requirements. Come on, man. Like, this is bullshit. And nobody was more against the hire of Mike Anderson than me. I thought it was a terrible hire. Terrible hire.
Pay the man his money.
The man his money. Pay him his money. This is complete bullshit. Like what UConn did with Kevin Ollie, what St. John's is doing. You're going to end up running up all this money with lawyers anyway, and ended up
you're going to have to pay the money anyway. Like the only people that are going to win here are the lawyers. St. John's is going to look bad. Mike Anderson's not going to end up looking great. You're going to have to take this thing to court. It's going to be in the headlines forever. Pay him his money. Just pay him the damn money. Come on. What are we doing here? No, but in terms of what St. John's is going to end up being, they're going to be really good.
Yep.
They're going to be really, really good. Honestly, it is a scary proposition to think about how good that program can be with Rick Pitino at the helm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you don't need to get a ton of guys from the New York and New Jersey area, but you just if you get like 5 or 6 of them, you're going to be able to recruit nationally. He's going to take guys that are a little bit under the radar and coach them up and get them better than you probably would think they would be. Like I said, he took Russ Smith and made Russ Smith a national champion and an All-American.
Yeah, no, listen, again, he may be the best coach in the country. And now, he's in a big boy league, right? He doesn't have to win 3 games in 3 days to move on.
It is a big boy league. Look, the top, I said it all season long, the top 5 in the Big East were as good as the top 5 in any conference in college basketball.
Yeah.
Now you have Ed Cooley at Georgetown. That thing will get flipped quick. I promise you, that thing will get flipped quick. And you have Rick Pitino at St. John's. And I would say that it's already been flipped.
Yeah, I would agree. No, I listen, again, to me, the Big East has gotten better today, and they have 3 teams in the Sweet 16 already. This is a league that I'm excited about. I mean, you get Pitino, and we'll see where Providence heads to try to fill the void of Ed Cooley, because it is a huge void. Providence fans can say what they want and justify it all they want, but Ed Cooley, he provided something that just hasn't been there in a while. Tim Welsh, What we have? Tim Wells, Keno Davis. Who am I forgetting in between?
No one good.
Wells. Who came before Cooley? Keno?
Yeah, it was Keno.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't had that energy that Ed Cooley has provided, and that's what that fan base needs. And yeah, it's gonna be
all it needs to get that energy is to just be good. Like, you got to be relevant.
Right. That too. Yes, be good, which they were, and have. I mean, again, Eddie was just like one of a kind. There's nobody else like him out there, and that's where the weird part for Georgetown. Here's a weird one. I was talking to somebody about this earlier. So Georgetown, probably the most buttoned up program in the country, right? Like, I mean, back in years ago,
they've been the toughest to deal with from a media perspective.
Always. They would have tape on the slits of the doors, so you couldn't even look in to practice. All right. So that's how, in nothing. It was like, now you've got a coach that goes against all of that. He talks to everybody. Everything's an open book for him. Again, he's doing interviews with TV stations in the middle of a job search, talking about everything, being completely transparent, which, again, we all said was stupid, but, like, kind of cool that he was doing it and being transparent through it all. Right. I mean, it's just something we've never seen before, really. And now, again, it's just two completely opposite ends of the spectrum coming together. How is that going to work for Ed Cooley? Is he going to be able to be Ed Cooley?
I don't know. I hope so.
You hadn't thought of that. You hadn't thought of that.
No, I did. I thought about it quite a bit, but like, I hope so. And I think he will be. The coach is going to be the one that determines all of that. So,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Anything else to add, Goodman?
What else? What else we got? I will go through another couple job stuff. Look for Paul Mills, Oral Roberts. He's in the mix at Texas Tech and Wichita State right now. Okay. Texas, Chris Del Conte is not making a move with Rodney Terry today, tomorrow, the next day. He's going to let it play out with Rodney Terry and see what happens. What else we got? That's Texas.
Anything on Notre Dame?
I mean, Micah Shrewsbury, that's who they want now. So, Notre Dame's going to probably swing for Micah Shrewsbury. That's going to be a tough decision for him because, again, Penn State will step it up. Probably can pay more money or will pay more money than Notre Dame. Might behoove him to stay at Penn State for another year. He's hot enough and he can get better than Notre Dame probably in a year. The guys that kind of feel bad for right now are like a Dusty May. Like, he's done an incredible job this year. Should get a better job. He'll get paid there, but paid there isn't what it would have been paid at a high major.
Yeah, and he's gonna be able to. The big concern is hopefully people will remember this run and what he was able to do this year when all of his guys hear about the NIL money that is going to be offered to them if they jump in the portal.
Right.
All his dudes are young.
Yep.
So true. That's the big concern with him. But he'll be like, I think he's got a good enough reputation that something at some point is going to pop for him. Did you see this report that Mike Bray is going to South Florida?
Yeah, it's not done. It's not done yet, but he's firmly in the mix there, and man, he'll be happy there. He can be right in the beach. I mean, again, I love Mike Bray to death. I think this one feels a little bit like Thad Matta to me. That's my worry with Mike Bray. How motivated is he going to be? Like, I don't think Thad Matta.
Look, Tampa.
Yeah,
where South Florida is.
Yeah,
is right next to St. Pete Beach. I got married on St. Pete Beach. It's very easy to be very distracted when you're that close to the beaches like St. Pete. So it is what it is. All right, I think that's all I have. Do you got anything else to add on Pitino? Anything else to add on Cooley? Anything else you want to say? I'll give you one prediction. First coach to get to the tournament and first coach to get to a Final Four between Ed Cooley and Rick Pitino at these two jobs. Will either of them be there in the next 5 years? I
mean, Pitino will be in the tournament next year.
What kind of odds would you put on that right now?
I don't think I put some money. If I were a betting man, I put some money on Pitino going to the Final Four. I mean, to the tournament next year. Neither one of them go to a Final Four. How's that?
Ever?
Yeah, ever. That's right. Yeah, that's not outlandish. I mean, there's a better chance they don't go to the Final Four than they do.
Okay, fair enough. I said who is more likely out of the two of them?
And I would say neither.
Neither? Fair enough. All right. Listen, Field of 68, Join us after dark, 11 p.m. Monday night, it's going to be John Fanta, Laval Jordan, and myself. Tuesday night, I don't even know who it's going to end up being. I haven't looked that far on the schedule. It's probably not going to be Goodman because Goodman doesn't work anymore.
Never.
All right. Oh, there. Hey, Trevor. Is that producer Trevor? Where did producer Trevor come from? Wow, he's been this entire time. He's there. So yeah, what was it? Greg,
RC,
and Matt McCall. Yep. All right. And then Wednesday night, I guess Thursday, we are going to be in Las Vegas. Pre-game shows, post-game shows from the stadium, and from the arena that the games are going to be played in, all second weekend